Hello, YouTubers. This time we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of a cooking session, we're going to do something that's somewhat food beverage related. I'm saving different types of wine bottles. I also use some water bottles, actually glass bottles. Those are fairly the same kind of size and shape. They may differ in color. So I'm recycling these bottles in a way in a yard. I'm recycling them as a border for around the flower beds. It's a good way to reuse and a good way to recycle, so those bottles don't end up in the landfill, right? So I will show you the process. Now, one thing I want to mention is I never had any issues, but think safety. A good pair of goggles to wear when you plant those bottles. By the way, I also want to mention, folks, that you do not have to drink wine to do so. You can hook up with your catering company or someone you know that works for a catering company. They throw cases and cases and cases of empty bottles of wine every event that they have. For the big events, we may have to wait till after COVID, by the way. But restaurants also have always a supply of, so if you hook up with somebody from the restaurants, they may set up some empty bottles for you, and so you can use that. And as I mentioned, there are some water bottles that are glass. Any glass water bottle about the same size will make a border. So if you drink certain, I will not mention brands, but they are strong enough, they are good enough to make a border as well. So whatever you do, if you drink the wine, drink responsibly. All right, folks, and now I'm going to show you the basic tools that you need for the project. So we shall start with, of course, the bottles. You need bottles. So some, you notice, some have a caved-in bottom. Some are the lighter green is a water bottle. So they don't have to be wine bottle. So different types. I got vinegar bottles in there. I got different types of bottles. So it's up to you. If you want to go color-coded, you see clear bottles, so you can save bottles and stack them, save them, and then you can be more selective on the colors. So these are your bottles here. And now you have a pick here that's very handy to cut your little trench. Your trench doesn't have to be very wide at all, because you just loosen the earth, and then the shape of the bottle will the pointed with the neck will be pretty solid and go into the ground. So there we go. But because of the roots and such, that comes pretty handy. Okay, here I have for my straight line, I have two branches that are pointed on one end, and I've got some string, roller thread, so I can make my straight lines with this, and a little bundle of string next to it will be what I would use for around a post, around a tree, to do a border, as you will see in the video later. Now you will get that. So we also have the mallet, the heavy rubber mallet here, and if you do not have one of those, the hammer and a piece of 2x4 will do just fine, because the hammer will strike the wood resting on the bottle. That's the steel wool we talk about, something really, really abrasive that will not scratch the glass, but yet will really remove your labels after they've been soaked long enough. This is a little shovel that you can move the dirt around your bottles to finish the job, if necessary. And now this is your protective equipment. So again, you may have different equipment to work with. So pair of gloves, heavy duty gloves is always a good precaution to have. I have knee pads, but if you don't have knee pads, you can use those garden pads here that work well. Just move it around, and of course goggles just in case. I never had an issue with any bottle breaking to the points that flying around, but you cannot never be too cautious. All right, and now we're moving to our station. These are bottles where the The labels have been removed. Okay, I'm not saying we drank all that, okay? And if we did, it took a long time to drink all that. Most of it is rainwater. Again, reuse, right? The bottles have been sitting there for several days so that we can remove the label. Without further ado, let's start doing this here. I'm going to pass the camera to my camera person here, Betty, and she's going to take over while I'm doing a little demo. All right, so the removal of the label process is a bottle, find a container large enough to accommodate several bottles, and then with some water, rainwater works very well. There we go, beautiful. Now we are filling up the bottle so it can sink and stay underwater. And then you keep it several days underwater. Some labels will be removed in a few hours, some will take several days, and they will need more pressure. So after they've been soaking for a while, you dig back in there. The one thing you may want to be concerned in areas where they got mosquitoes, you may want to put some sort of a mesh on top so that the mosquitoes don't get to it. That's breeding heaven for mosquitoes. The other thing you can do is put a little bleach in that water to prevent larvae of mosquitoes to develop. So bear that in mind, folks, in mosquito area. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna get some of these here and the label. Some of them peel right off, but I have that little tool here that's fantastic. It's a steel wool, and voila, it works very well. Now a little trick I do to empty a bottle quickly, I turn it like this and then it empties much faster. Voila. We're gonna take another close-up with seeing a little bit more of the bottle so you see the level going down. I'm gonna repeat the demo. Okay, so let's see, let's grab another one that's been there for a while. I believe this may be a little harder to remove, so you need to brush it with that steel wool. Put a little pressure, put your back into it, and the steel wool grabs you got the label and the glue, and into that water. Again, they're not all that difficult to remove, but somehow. So good support and scrape. Support and scrape. Rinse, support and scrape, and repeat. Nice little workout, no need to go to the gym. You do that for 100 bottles and you're good. Now I'm gonna show you again the little trick to siphon the water quickly instead of just pouring the liquid. You take the bottle upside down and then you stir it in a circle, and then it falls down nice and easy because it creates a hole that allows the air to get into the bottle as it pours itself out. Et voila. When you build a sufficient amount, then you can start building. Now, if you have a lot of them, you could go by color coding. I've not done that yet at this point, but you could go a white, 3 green, a white, 3 green. So you could really even get it more elaborate than I have it. The reason I started that and I didn't worry about the color coding is because I've gone progressively and pretty much used the bottles, recycle the bottles that I have. So, but in the future, I could do the labels, store them between different colors of bottles, and do something really, really artistic and really cool with different types of bottoms, different types of looks, shapes, and really have something really, really super cool. But I'd like it the way it is. Again, the great factor is you reuse, you recycle, have a good purpose for that, save money, and then they will not be eaten by the insects. They last a long time. Okay, so right now I'm gonna demo a little bit with we're gonna expand this here, that portion, and I'm gonna show you what happened here. It has not rained for several days. So what you can do is you can water the area for a while. Otherwise, your best shot is to wait after 4 or 5 days of rain when the weather gets. If you want to do a straight line, you may want to use 2 sticks and a string, and you follow a straight line. I got it more organic, so it doesn't have to be really so rigid. And I'm about to dig a little trench with one of those. Pick here, you could use a different tool, but that works well. And careful not to hit the first bottle. You just dig in a fairly straight line, and where you have bushes and trees, you may have a few roots to deal with. So just dig. As you can tell, it's a little dry in there. Careful when you get close to a bottle. With a pick, it won't take much to
break a bottle.
So watch for those roots. Another thing you may want to be conscious about, call before you dig. You can call the utility companies, and one of them is they call the others, and then they come with some spray paints or chalk, whatever, and then they show you where not to dig, just to make sure that you're not gonna dig into any cable or utility pipe, so on and so forth. Okay. So always call before you dig. I already had done that a while ago, so I know where I'm going with this. All right, now let's go and plant some bottles. Go next to the next one. Oh, don't forget your goggles once you start hitting the bottles, just in case, okay? You may want to wear gloves as well.
And it's also good to wear knee protection.
Yes. As my daughter mentioned, our camera person here, knee protection is a nice thing to have. Save your knees. So this is the technique with how you tie to the tree to make a border, a round border, circle border. Around a tree. You tie a string around a tree, a bottle, and you use that bottle. You keep repeating using that bottle just to point. Of course, there's already the bottle in there, but that was to demonstrate to you what to do. And so you mark it here, then you remove the bottle and place another bottle in. And you take a mallet, a rubber mallet, heavy duty rubber mallet, and then you take a different bottle, of course. You take this, place it in, and then you hammer it in place. Like this, like so. Now, by hitting here on the border here, those bottles are very strong, okay? Rubber mallet. Now, if you do not have a rubber mallet, you can use a 2x4, piece of 2x4 or wood, and use a hammer, and a hammer on the wood to create cushion. And here we are. Then you take your bottle, and then you mark the emplacement, and you keep going like this all in a circle, and you get all your bottles in a neat circle, like so. Et voilà. And now you have a fairly circular border that will keep the mulch in place as long as your hands are not digging through it. That's a good way to recycle, reuse bottles that would otherwise end up in the landfill.